guys, welcome back to my channel. I don't want to say happy quarantine, so I'm going to say happy Friday. So welcome back to my channel, and today's video is a tutorial on this eye look right here. Now I did use the new, it's not exactly new, but it's her recent, the Carly Bible / ABH collaboration palette. Now in here she does have a mixture of warm tones and cool tones, so that's kind of what I wanted to kind of play with today. And I actually kind of like how they play with each other and how they bring each other out and kind of complement each other. So when you kind of have a cool tone kind of going on in the crease and then you transition that into a warm tone right above it, I just feel like it kind of makes that cool tone pop. I don't know, I really kind of like that contrast there. So that is what I did today. Plus I wanted to show you guys some tips and tricks on how to lift your eyes just using eyeshadow. So that is what I did. So if you guys are new, I do want to keep this intro short. If you guys are new here, I want to take a second to just welcome you guys to the video and to my channel. I'm Lauren Jade. I'm 57. I deal with mature, crepey, wrinkly skin. I have hooded eyes that are slightly downturned, so I'm always looking for ways to kind of pass my tips and tricks on to you guys so you guys can rock your hooded eyes situation as well. I try to be really kind of thorough here on my channel. No movie magic, no beauty guru movie magic here. So that's kind of what I pride myself on. So, all right, that's it. And with all that said, if you guys are new, I would love to have you join me. Please hit the subscribe button and the post notification bell right next to it. That way YouTube notifies you each and every time I upload. And without further ado, let's get into this tutorial. All right, I am priming using my MAC paint pot here in soft ochre. And I also kind of carve out like my brow area here at the same time. Going into the Carly Bible, this is the BH Cosmetics collaboration palette. And I'm grabbing this shade right here. There's no names on these, so, but it's a very light skin tone, peachy shade. I'm just taking this on a crown brush. This is just a big fat shader brush. And I'm just going to set this primer. I'm putting this all up in my socket bone area, everywhere where I'm planning to place the shadows, like in this upper brow bone area here. I'm going to also tap it in because I like that lit from within look. It just kind of looks like it's part of the skin. If you guys that have been watching me for a while, you guys know that I've kind of said bye-bye to the cookie cutter, one size fits all YouTube tutorial method of setting the primer with translucent powder. I personally don't like that. I like to have a nice skin tone friendly shade that, and a little bit more of that shade. This is a Sigma E38. On one side it's a dual-ended Sigma brush. It came with the Beauty Bird palette, and I'm just going to dust this kind of right over just to kind of give a nice wash of this color and a nice blend. I'm going to do a little bronzing of my crease because I like that inner corner shading. I usually kind of start right here, the bridge of this nose section right over here, and then I just like to sweep it on up through because I like to do a little bit of contouring. I always like to contour my socket. It just helps to really kind of define that shape. I'm just sweeping this up through this inner part of the socket here. So kind of push it up towards like the brow. When contouring, it really does help to look down into your mirror so you can fully access your whole socket line. You really need to be able to see that orbital bone. Using a bone shade to put in the light. Shade and light work together, and contour and highlight work together. So once you contour, you know, and then you go in and you highlight, it just, you know, brings that to life. Now you can better see my shadow crease that I sculpted out. I'm using this Clay Play Volume 2 palette, by the way. I'm just using this palette here, and I'm going to use the brush that it came with. First shade I'm going to go into is called Cindy. It's kind of a orangey, kind of a light peachy shade, and it it meshes with that first shade that I used to set the base, and I'm just coating the tip of this brush. And to add lift, I'm going to kind of think about where I want like the high point of the shadow to be. Now, if you have normal eyes, right, like, and they're not like slightly downturned, if they're, you know, kind of more like out, you know, to where they're not This part here is not downturned. Your V would be like this, like a normal V, right? But if you do that on an eye shape that's like slightly downturned or hooded eyes, you're gonna have this thing sticking out here and it's just like not gonna look good. So on me, on my eye shape, I should just clarify that. So I like to take my point up just a little bit higher. So I'm gonna look to see exactly where I want that height. So I'm gonna put that right here. So it's still on the outer section, I guess, if you will. It's just up a little bit higher. So I'm just gonna stamp and just kind of pinpoint exactly where I want that. And you can see just by doing that, you can see it just kind of added a little bit of depth to that outer socket area. So, and added depth to, like, you know, the fake crease, which is kind of like right where my shadow crease. I'm using a Sigma E40. It's just a nice big fat fluffy blender just to kind of go over everything and just kind of keep it, everything kind of airbrushed and light right out in through here. And the thing that I like about stamping and just kind of pinpointing kind of like where, you know, like adding depth to the outer part of the crease is that it also, you know, creates lift. So you can create lift with your eyeshadow. All right, the next shade I'm going to go into is Bible. It's a cool tone, kind of like a plummy shade. I'm going to use an Hourglass number 3 brush. It's just a really nice packer. And I'm just going to place this on this outer lid right here. I find that when you mix like cool tones and warm tones, and lately I've been kind of playing with that combo, the you know, the cool tones kind of like in the crease, and then you have like a warm tone transition just kind of as a halo, as a backdrop, like right above it. It just, I don't know, they kind of play on each other, and it's almost like the warm tone kind of makes the cool tone kind of pop even more. So I'm just taking this on this outer lid right here, and then I'm going to slowly kind of move it upwards and in. All right, I had to stop and do a little bit of baking just because I am working with darker shadows today. So I'm going to continue on with that Hourglass at number 3 and packing this on to the outer lid and then just kind of moving it up. And then kind of bringing it over. Following my bone structure here and just really working on this little outer section right here and just bringing it up and over. I am moving it over slightly. I'm just kind of moving it to like maybe like the center. All right, now we're going to go into, what is this? This is called Steve. It is a kind of a reddish. Now these shades are not overly pigmented, so they are definitely buildable. So this the shade we're going to go into, and I'm using my M456. Love this brush. And I'm going to do the same method. I'm going to just kind of start right here on this exact same thing, just kind of moving it in. And I like to have my shadows kind of going up. You know how some people put shades into their socket and they'll just, you know, pack it right in straight across? Maybe they like that straight across look. I find on me that just kind of really closes everything up. I like to kind of keep everything wide and bright and open, especially through this inner section right here. So I like all my shadows kind of going up towards the brow. So that is what I'm doing. All right, back in with my Sigma E40, my large fluffy blender, and just lightly grazing over the edges of everything, just to make sure that I have a nice, smooth gradient fade of color and that I have that nice airbrushed finish kind of out here. All right, I'm going to go in with this shade called Bear in this Bible palette. It's my favorite shade. Actually, it really packs the punch. And I'm just going to create the shape now by carving out like this brow even more. Just getting right underneath there. I'm going to go back in and just kind of touch up my little my little pinpoint area here, just so I can make sure that that orange is really peeking above everything else. I'm going to use a MAC 224, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to hold the brush at a horizontal, slight upward angle. This is a nicely tapered brush, and this is just going to blend that shade upwards. When you hold the brush like I'm doing and just kind of use the side of the brush, it just blends that upwards. Give it a nice raised blend up in there. What I'm going to do on the lid, but I am going to pick up a little bit of this P. Louise base on this P. Louise brush. This is in the shade 0. And just kind of make it nice and open. It's going to do like almost like a little half cut crease situation here. Grab my mirror here so I can really get under there and see. All right, I don't know what I'm gonna do exactly, but I think I'm gonna grab, while this is wet, I know I'm gonna take this shade right here and put this on the inner part here. Kind of take this on up. All right, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet with. I might take, you know what, I think I'm gonna take this Aura shade. I'll show you guys here in just a quickie second. I'm gonna pop that in right over here, right in there. I think I might take a little bit of this gold here and just tap right on the edge here of that, and then a little bit on this edge here, just all right. I'm gonna grab that brush and just kind of dust over. I always call it the border. It's the area where the shimmers and the mattes kind of meet. I just like to kind of smooth that out. I'm going to switch to this Biba palette. And like everybody's Biba, my black eyeshadow did fall out all over my carpeting. I do have another one of these. And as you can well imagine, I'm not holding that one up, so I'm using this one. I'm going to go into this Pasha shade, and I'm going to kind of smoke up a little shadowing. I'm going to start out with my Marc Jacobs smudger here. And I'm going to start out by placing this on this outer section here. And then I'm going to go over to where my lower lash line is and just kind of follow that as if that lower lash line were continuing on up. Just to get the alignment that I want. And then I'm just going to bring a little bit of this over here and just kind of connect it. Just like a nice soft shadowing. I'm just going to start out with a little smoky shadowing here, just in this shade, because I feel like it'll really mesh with the other colors that are going on here. I'm going to hit the lower lash line. Grab an angled liner brush, and I'm going to do the same thing, just being a little bit more precise. And I'm just going to kind of pull this out. So once I kind of go up here and then I drag it over and connect it, I'm just going to kind of pull it out. Kind of gives you that nice little whoosh. You kind of get that sharp line. All right, and then if there's any cleanup, I always do that at the end. Now, because I don't have a black in this one, I'm going to grab my Kylie Bronze palette here, and I'm going to take the shade black from this one, which is I think called Obsidian. I'm not sure. Take a little bit of this black, and now I'm going to keep this really, really close to the lash line. I'm just going to kind of stamp that in there. This is just going to add a little bit more depth, and then I'm going to have that burgundy shade kind of smoked on top of that. And this one is easy because you're just following along with the shape that you already created with the first wing. Just adding that depth in. I'm going to also take a little bit of this on the inner part right here. And I'm really making sure I wiggle in between the lashes. That's just going to add a little bit more depth and dimension to the lashes because I'm not going to mess with falsies today. As per usual, I have to get going. Got lots of stuff I have to get done today, as always. I took the black all the way in on the inner corner. I just kept it really thin. I do a thin line on the inner corner, and then I get a little bit thicker as I go out. And now I'm going on top of that with that burgundy shade, so I kind of have a dual kind of a wing. I kind of have this burgundy kind of smoked on top, and then there's that gradient fade into the black. And I also wiggled the black into the lashes, so I got really, really close when I stamped that black in there, so that it's not really tight lining, but it is adding a lot of depth and dimension into the lashes in case you don't want to mess with falsies, which I do not, because as per usual, I've got stuff I'm going to do after this, and I don't want to be messing with those falsies. So I really like pushing that black into the lashes, really wiggling that in there. It's almost like kind of like tight lining, but it really adds a lot of depth and dimension into the lashes in case you don't want to mess with falsies, which I do not today. All right, I'm going to wipe away this powder, and then I'm going to come back and show you guys the final look. All right, as a final step, like what I always do, I'm going to grab a little bit more of this red shade. I'm going to go directly above that little wing and kind of bring it in a little bit, almost like that little inverted C shape. You can see that just adds a little bit of something, something right along the lash line. I'm not taking it all the way in. I'm just kind of doing more of that like rounded, like that little C shape. And I like to do this right above the wing. And just kind of absolutely love how this look came out. I know, it does call for falsies, I know, but you guys know what a loser I am when it comes to those false eyelashes. I can't even. I mean, I do every now and then, but for the most part, no. I like to add depth and dimension though to my lashes. So I'm just popping on a little bit of Milani's Luminoso blush, just kind of like up in this like upper area right here. It just kind of adds lift. And I'm just kind of placing this on my upper, like my cheekbone right here. All right, I got my fan. I'm going to go in with my favorite setting sprays, my Morphe Continuous Mist setting spray. Whew. This really takes me back to the 90s because not only was I one of those Mac Spice and Myth chicks, I know, right? Lived it, loved it. That was me. But I was also into the frosts. I bought every single MAC frost that they ever had. So I'm going to top it with this. Absolutely love how it came out. All right, guys, that completes the look. My mind is already, and it has been already, on the next project. I'm really excited to get into the blood sugar palette and really kind of play and kind of create a fun look with that. That's how I am. You know, I'll be working on one palette, but my mind is already thinking about the next one and the next project and the next palette. And yeah, so I'm super excited to get to that. All right, that's it, you guys. That completes the look. I hope you guys picked up a few tips and tricks, and if you guys liked what you've seen and you learn something, I hope that you guys will join me. Please hit the subscribe button on your way out. Smash that like button and leave a comment below. And that's it. You guys, I love you all, and I will see you guys in my next one.